All right, folks, good morning. We have a frosty, cold morning drive to work this morning. We'll see how traffic is, and should be an exciting use of version 13.2.2. I got started using FSD because I have a back problem that I'm going to have surgery on eventually here in a few months, but it's been going on for about a year, and it affects my leg strength and the pain in my legs and low back. So having FSD has been a real blessing for being able to get around, get to work, be there to meet with my team and inspect things as they go. I'm a IT and operations director for an agency, and have a staff that I'm responsible for ensuring gets the job done, while I do some operational work myself as well in both IT and facilities. So let's get going and see how this thing does. I don't anticipate major issues, but let's see if we can actually go intervention and disengagement free this morning. All right. Navigate to work. We're going to take off right here from my garage and see if this works. Here we go. Will you find your way? Oh, it does think there. I think it thinks the line of the garage is an object in the path. So we're gonna just, sometimes the lighting will confuse it there on the way out, but we're on our way. I'm closing my garage door here. And we're off. I'm gonna get Waze up on my phone over here just to give me a visibility of Polosia and stuff on the route. And while it may not choose the same route that FSD does, it will adapt as it sees us get out there. All right, snaking out through the neighborhood here and looking good. Cleaning out some notifications so I can focus on the car and any new notifications coming in that are nav related. Look at that. All right, out up to the main road, right hand turn. No real traffic to speak of there, which it's always interesting. We're right at 9 a.m. and I usually see more traffic, but I suspect with us getting to dawn just a little earlier in daylight hours, people are starting to sneak into the office earlier again. So no such luck for me, as with my back injury. I'm a little slow in the mornings getting a bunch of different prescription and non-prescription meds in, a proper meal to handle those meds, and just surviving until such time as I have surgery. Oh my goodness, though. One of the things that I really appreciate about FSD and the version 13 in particular is just how smooth and comfortable and reliable a driver it is. Not that it doesn't make mistakes sometimes, but I can predict where it's potentially going to make a mistake. After driving version 13 for about a month now, I kind of know where it might slip up, and just bumping up my offset slightly just for the realities of this road. I do keep a 25% offset. That seems to work well for me in most situations. This road is one of those where I sneak it up just a little. It is a rural road, with a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit, but most people go 50. That's just the reality. It's so narrow and with so little shoulder that like no cops really hang out along here. So everybody feels free to really jam. And we will too. I've got cars on my butt right now. Adjust my mirror just a touch for this morning. Look at us go. All right, doing nicely here. Did a great job through those corners right back there. FSD 13.2.2 does have a few idiosyncrasies that are good to be aware of, one of which is it isn't the best at lane centering. It doesn't wander all over, but it does sometimes, depending on the car you're driving, kind of lean one way or the other. We've had some folks say it gets a little too close to the left, but for me, in this Model 3 long range 2025 rear wheel drive, it likes to hug the right side, the right white line, pretty consistently, or just the right side of lanes in general. And I would like it not to do that. It's not a fatal flaw, but it hugs it so much that perfect unprotected right there, by the way. Folks timed that gap, noticed the vehicle was turning. That was awesome. Here's a spot, for instance. It really hugs the right side, and there is no shoulder here. It like is eroded away. So I would really appreciate it not hugging the right shoulder and doing a little better job of lane centering. Maybe Tesla can, get that going in a future release. They've had better lane centering in some past versions, so it's not really what I consider, I guess you could consider it a regression. I don't think it's a big deal of a regression. It's not horrible at it. It's just not as good as it should be, really, in this version. And then considering everything else that it does so well, if they could just improve the lane centering a little bit, that would be awesome. Hugging the right side of the line, yes, while it keeps you away from the oncoming traffic, it puts you right next to semis on the interstate and hugs them, and does not have any type of training to indicate that it should slide away from semis right now, so it doesn't. And then being off to the right sometimes mean that's where a lot of the garbage that has gotten kicked off to the side is. And so you're just more chances of getting something in your tire. The weak edge of the road is over there, so that's also not the best place to be from that regard. And then the biggest one is sometimes it hangs so far right that, and here we are at a roundabout, and it is just, I don't even think about roundabouts really most of the time now. It does such a great job on them. But anyway, hangs so far right, it will actually hit the storm drains that are on the side of the road. And a lot of them have a dip in them, so you end up like driving over the storm drain and having quite a bump when you do that. There's a spot up here it sometimes does it, in fact, and if it gets into that lane. And that's unnecessary to be that far right. Obviously people don't drive that far right normally, so little fix there would be awesome. In an upcoming release. On the freeway, some training that has it trend away from semis. That's both a benefit of like safety, because semis tend to, not be the best lane keepers. But also if it's rainy out, getting that blast of water that makes it difficult for FSD to see. Get further away from it where you're not going to have that problem. We are taking a right, I believe, here. Yes, we are. We're going to take Patton Parkway this morning. That is what FSD has chosen. There we go. Yeah. I know. And here's a spot where when it rounds this corner, it will sometimes hit a storm drain because it hugs the right side of the line so much here. Yep. Boom. It's like, come on, man. We don't need to be that much of a kissing cousin. Let's see if I can get a few of those smears off that I just did. We'll have the sunshine right on the screen right now, and that makes these little smears kind of front and center. I'd like you to be able to see the screen as much as possible. A couple more, actually. Yeah. Didn't notice the couple right here, too. Let's get those. Excellent. All right, we got a double left here. And it's handling it great. We've got a car next to us, and it's not having any issue with them. You'll notice that car did take that corner quite a bit faster than FSD, but again, I don't have to drive, so that kind of thing doesn't bug me too much, you know. I'll critique FSD in hurry mode on, sometimes it's lane selection, and to me it's means that it's not seeing as far ahead as I am sometimes, and I'm like, why'd you get over into that lane? Sure, there was like a 1 or 2 car advantage right here, but I can see ahead that there's like, you know, 10, 12 more cars in that lane than the lane we're in. So it's just going to compress and end up backed up. We're not going to really gain anything over there. And it doesn't really see as far ahead as I can to kind of make the smartest lane choices when it's in hurry mode all the time. If the traffic is moderate, it does a pretty good job of it. When it's really trying to make hay and heavier traffic on city streets, I find it as often loses ground as gains ground. I don't know if it hurries particularly effectively when both lanes are decently full. Yeah, this is a beautiful drive right here. Patton Parkway is a pleasure to drive. It really is. It's kind of a causeway. It has some signals, but not very many. And you'll notice big sound walls on each side that are covered in vines and quite tree lined. And one of the beautiful things about FSD is that you know, I need to pay attention visually, but because I'm not having to worry about the brake, the gas, the steering wheel, the functions of the car 99.9% of the time now, visually I can spend more time actually having a relaxed visual scan rather than a like split between body control function and my mind's having to do all the driving functions as well as all of the alertness out there, right? So I just feel more relaxed when I'm driving on FSD now. It's gotten reliable enough that I don't have to be on edge every moment. I just need to be observant and be ready. You know, my hands are within an inch of the wheel and can take over at any time. Like here, I'm just noticing I got a little gunk on the wheel. I'll clean off at some point. But my feet are where I can hit the brake or the gas as needed. But that's rarely needed these days. You know, I've got a couple of gremlin spots I know about where I'm very attentive to the shenanigans it could pull. Oh, we have police ahead. And let's slow it down. I did disengage on accident there, not on purpose. Sorry, I'm not going to count that as a disengagement. That was just me paying attention to the cop and not really paying attention to what I was doing. There was no need to disengage there whatsoever. Let's see where we're at here. I would like the car, when it sees a police officer on the side of the road, to get over a lane, you know, get out of that lane, if it can. You know, obviously sometimes nobody's letting you in, the traffic's heavy on your left, so you can't get over, or on your right if they're pulled up on the center median. But you should try and get over if you can. And I want FSD to get really good at that, giving emergency vehicles as much room and respect as possible. It's getting better with them. It's not all the way there yet. But yeah, like I was saying, since I'm mainly scanning to see, you know, what's ahead and keep my attention focused ahead, I actually spend more time enjoying the beauty of our area. It's an incredibly beautiful area to drive in. Mother Nature has been kind to us here. Here it is, the middle of winter, and despite the frost this morning, we've got beautiful green, lush trees and everything. I'm sure our deciduous trees have lost all their leaves, but we got all the evergreens going still. We've got some interesting, cool, on the deciduous trees, like red barks and white barks, of course, on alders and birches and things. And just a real diverse, lush environment. We're having an unusual dry streak here in the winter. You know, while we have beautiful summers and falls here, the winter is usually wet and gray, and has been up until the last week. And we're just kind of cold and clear, but we're not in the heart of the Arctic blast that is hitting most of the country. We're like flirting with the very edge of it, and so we're just cool rather than like truly cold. We'll be below freezing at night and like low 40s during the day, somewhere between 40 and 44 during the day, and then like 28 to 32 at night. So nothing to write home about cold wise. No snow, because it's just been clear. This is the cloudiest it's been, and there's just some light cirrus out there today. I can still see a lot of blue sky. As we head west on Padden Parkway here, and you'll see traffic is thickening up. We're getting into a lot more traffic. And, you know, FSD is just handling everything. You know, it gets hard because you start taking it for granted that it does all this driving so well. So you notice, like, when it doesn't do something well, that's like almost shocking to you now, right? Some of the issues that I have had, and that other FSD testers who publish their videos have had on this version, are the lane centering issue, coming up on high capacity, high volume intersections from, say, a fast road, maybe a highway or a rural high-speed road, where suddenly you get to signals and that's backed up quite a bit because it's the first signal after a long stretch with no signals. It sometimes doesn't really heed the traffic that the navigation is showing, and comes in there too hot. You know, we have one spot on the commute home that this often chooses to go on, where a literal, like, divided highway with overpasses, on ramps and off ramps, no signals at all, suddenly turns into a city street, and it does it around a fairly tight bend. So suddenly you're at a signal after everybody's just been cruising with no signals for like the last 5 miles. And it will oftentimes come into that way hot, and the right-hand turn lane there is 3/4 of a mile long, quite a high volume, long right-hand turn lane, and even has another on-ramp that merges into that right-hand dedicated turn lane. So those people are actually trying to hop across and get out of it. Many of them, only some of them are continuing to head to turn. So you have traffic coming the opposite way, and if FSD is late getting into that lane, one, it gets very, very full and backed up, and people will not let you in. But two, you actually have traffic going against you, trying to get over into the lanes that you're now trying to get over, go the opposite direction of, to get over to that right turn lane very late. And there's obviously some traffic hazard dangers when it gets over too late, as well as road rage potential situations, because people are in that 3/4 mile long lane and it moves along at a decent pace. You're only going to be in it for a couple minutes. It really isn't like a standstill. It's more of a slow go, with occasional brief stops. But it gets so high volume, that's why it's 3/4 of a mile long, that people don't appreciate you trying to cut in up ahead, and people are pretty bumper to bumper. So it's difficult enough that people are close to the end of it trying to cut through them to get across, and that's always a congested, irritable situation for folks. So you coming in last minute and trying to jam in the opposite direction is super unappreciated by the masses, and there's no reason for it. FSD just needs to be like, okay, there's a really long turn lane, I'm gonna go get in it now and ride it forward. I mean, it's one thing if you were in hurry, where like, okay, hurry kind of needs to be more aggressive, but hurry there still doesn't get over early enough. It'll be like in the far left lane, a couple 100 feet from the signal, where this highway ends into a city street. And there's no way, when it's over there, it's going like 60 around a corner with dead stop traffic ahead a lot of times. So hard on the brakes and just trying to come to a stop safely. Meanwhile, it did not make it across to that turn lane at that point. So I end up disengaging sometimes and having to route a different way, because it will try and get over there, but it's so late now that nobody's letting you in, and you're really at the point where you're past the point where you're legally supposed to get over there even. So yeah, it's a challenge for FSD 13, especially in hurry or standard mode. In chill mode, it will make it most of the time. It still even has its issues there. One of the things it struggle with merging cars is, and even just cars in line next to it, and it needs to get over into that lane, is it doesn't always pick its battles well. Like, it'll be like, okay, the car next to you is pacing the same pace as you, and if you pick up the pace, it picks up the pace, sort of thing. As soon as you see that, that should be like they're giving you clues that they don't want to let you in, and they're already over in that lane, so you're responsible for merging it over there safely. So that means that, yeah, it would be great if they were gonna back off and let you in, but they're beside you, and if you're getting closer and closer and you're not over in that lane yet, back the hell off and get behind them. And it struggles to do that a lot of times. It really does, even in standard and sometimes in chill. It'll be like, no, I want to get ahead of that car. So it just keeps speeding up as that car speeds up. And as the distance closes to the cars in front, it runs out of room to get over there. It's silly. So yeah, you'll notice we're to a point here where we don't have the divided median anymore, and it's just a city street at this point. We have a lot of businesses along here. There's we're getting close to my office, and there's just a ton of restaurants. I think I got 5, 6 Mexican restaurants on this street right here, a bunch of Thai restaurants, a bunch of fast food joints, some burger joints, some sit downs, a couple pubs, some pizza joints, multitude of fast food options, and your marijuana dispensary right there for those who are so inclined. It is legal here in Washington State. And there's Jack in the Box, Wendy's right there. We've got even Buffalo Wild Wings right here on to the left. Killer Burger is right over to the right. There's a lot of food options. We actually have a Billy's Bar and Grill with live music right across from where I work. We go over there for lunch pretty often, and occasionally have some work parties over there. You'll notice that, like, a lot of times I'm just gonna be chatting and pointing out a few things during the drive, but I'm not really doing anything with the car. Say the one disengagement I'm not even gonna count. That was me, like, looking at the cop and just instinctively grabbing the wheel, disengaging it when there was like no reason to do that. We were slowing down already. We could not move over to the left because of traffic. We just needed to go past safely, and FSD was already doing that. Another beautiful corner, like always. Well, like 99.999% of the time. I really haven't had it do any of the wrong way things that a few people have run into with 13.2. It has not done that for me. I have had it one time in hundreds of signals, so I wouldn't consider it a major problem, but it is a gremlin that is a come on. Okay, I'm gonna get out of the road so people aren't running into me. So that was a disengagement because it had room to turn and it was just sitting there in the road. You know, yeah, it's narrow, but you gotta go past vehicles narrowly. It does that too, so I'm not sure why it was freaking out there. One disengagement on the way to work, and right at the office, basically. That was a bummer. Parking lot is quite icy, as you can see this morning. All right, you gotta finish up right there. Yes, you are. Usually does not try and park here at work, but as you'll see here, I will choose a parking spot. Oh, I gotta press to drive. There we go. And then it'll give me a spot. Which spot do I want? I actually want this one. That looks better. And we'll watch it auto park itself. Nice. Yeah, if I'm gonna have a disengagement, it's usually those type of non-safety disengagements, just an awkward clunkiness somewhere that's like, you could do better. That was an interesting park. Let me check something here. Yeah, that was not bad, but I would say that, you know, it's not leaving me a lot of room to get out of the car. So I'm going to recenter slightly. We have a pretty narrow parking lot, and you sort of just take it on a case-by-case basis in terms of which side of the spot you want to get on. In this case, the car next to me is pulled in straight, which means its driver's side door is on the far side. I'd rather tend towards it than myself. And here it's just seeing the curb that my wheels will bump against which is no big deal. As soon as I touch it, we clear it fine. I can roll off of it slightly, and we're good. Now, I still have a decent gap on my right, but that's not the driver's side of that car. And I have enough room on the driver's side of mine to actually get out. So, FSD will get there at some point. Sometimes, like I say, it just sort of centers itself in the spot and doesn't really account for how the cars are parked next to you, but there's no reason it can't gain that kind of intelligence over time. And I'm confident it will. It does a great job parking like 99% of the time now. So that wasn't even a bad park. I just preferred to realign. I could have gotten out at that point, but I'm trying to be nice to the people I work with and park in the way that's most sensible for them. We made it here to work with one disengagement, and that was right at the entry road into here, which is kind of a narrow private road, where it didn't want to turn in while there was a car there, but I had faster traffic coming up behind me, and I'm not going to sit there blocking that traffic when you can, in fact, turn the corner and get past that car. It wasn't like it was too narrow. FSD just was being conservative and wasn't doing it. And so, you know, it was a safer choice to just take the corner. I could have stayed camped out there and cars would have probably swerved around me or slowed down behind me, but I just didn't want to inconvenience them like that. So very good drive. I would say not a perfect drive because of that turn-in issue, but still one in which I didn't have to think about anything but watching for issues. Super relaxing drive, and that's the benefit of FSD, and I did not have to use my legs much, so yay. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and see you this evening on the commute home. All right, folks, we are heading home for the night after a productive day at the office, and we will see how the commute goes on FSD 13.2.2. It is just after 4 p.m. and we're gonna check out and see how well it can handle the route home and the traffic it encounters along the way. Let's go and see how it does. You'll note that it already knows I'm going home. Didn't have to actually plug anything in. We're just gonna start it. And we're off. And out of the parking lot we go. This is a little challenging for FSD at times, but it actually did minimal hesitations coming out of there, which is great. Very excited about that. Now we got an unprotected left here that can get a little busy, but I see a good gap on one side here. We'll pull out and use the suicide lane. Oh, and it's just gonna gun it, and that was a good gun. I like that. Did a nice job. Traffic from the right was slow, and it detected that. Traffic from the left was fast, but it only needed to get across one lane, and did so aggressively but nicely. And we are in hurry mode. We are going to turn that down to standard, but make sure we have a healthy max and run it standard all the way home. Hurry is dangerously aggressive on part of this route home. I'm pretty excited for this route. I'll show you guys. It has some challenges on it. The first is this extremely tight off-ramp where it comes in hot a lot of times and it's heavily backed up there. And that guy is a 20-mile-per-hour off-ramp, and it means it. That's how tight it is. And FSD does not pay attention to the 20 sign, and boom, down we go into the storm drain because it's hanging too far right in the lane. A little gremlin with version 13.2.2 It doesn't go dangerously close to the right, but uncomfortably close. This version on my car loves to hug the right side of the lane, and that puts it where we bang through on top of some storm grates sometimes, and there was an instance of it right there. You saw the car bump down into it. And I would love it in a future release if they lane centered a little better and also avoided semis. And you should not be slowing down and stopping here. I'm unsure what that was. It really slowed down, even though it had its own lane for getting up to speed and merging there. This is standard mode, not chill. There's somebody behind me, they probably would have been honking at me right there. And it hasn't done that before there, so that just shows like emergent behavior is, you know, there's weights going on and how it's judging what to do. And for some reason, maybe it was the position of a car when it came around, that it just decided to go over. Now this feels like hurry right here. We're getting off in an exit, and we are kind of way we gotta get over, let's put it that way, in a timely manner here, and let's see if it does that. It should, when it clears this car, signal over, and it does. Alright. Ease off that 7, back down to 70 max here, just to, and here it goes. Look at this. Really trying to get ahead of a car to merge in instead of just falling behind it. And then we're late here. Okay, so here is a big slowdown, but we have a lead car. We have 2 lead cars. It is literally backed up all the way around the corner here. So what happens here is this is a 20-mile-per-hour ramp because it's a super tight corner. But oftentimes it comes in really hot to here. Not when there's cars stopped right here, obviously it sees those ahead and slows down. It's when the cars are just up around the corner a little bit here. There's some low shrubs and trees, and it can't see the cars once they get there. So if there's nobody in front until there, what it'll do is it'll be going like 40 plus in this 20, and then all of a sudden see those cars as it comes around this corner up ahead, and have to just absolutely bang the brakes on to avoid rear-ending them, because it doesn't shift the speed limit down. Notice it still says speed limit 60 here. So you can imagine that it tries to take this corner way too fast. It does not drop the speed, even though it's had 3 20-mile-per-hour yellow signs. It pays them no mind whatsoever. And its map data must be wrong. There it goes. It switches to 25 here. Well, the backup can be here, and it's going 60, well, not 60, but some high portion of that, 40 something, and suddenly comes around there, and here's the backup right here, and of course has to absolutely panic mode, pound its brakes to a stop. So it happened 3 or 4 times. It has to be the right setup, right? Like, it's actually even more backed up tonight, so it wasn't a problem. But if it's backed up just to right here, then it's a problem for it, because it simply comes around the corner too hot. A corner it can't see around because it's too tight. Even though it's a big long bend, it's a very tight radius off-ramp. Beautiful night. It's once again was a mostly clear with a little high cloudiness at times day, but lots of blue sky and sunshine too. And we are absolutely in it here with heavy traffic. So it's really difficult. What is that card? Yeah, really difficult to get out here because the traffic just is wonderful. Okay, it's wanting us to go. Thank you. That was excellent. And FSD figured it out and went. Now let's see. Can you get moving and get through this signal? People don't tend to go this 25 speed limit on this road. They tend to go like 35 to 40 because oftentimes they're just on-ramping onto the highway here. We're coming off of Interstate 5 and we're going on to Highway 500 right up ahead here. This is the on-ramp everybody's feeding onto here. And we are in a long lineup of cars waiting to get through that. That was a funny wiper there. There was nothing to wipe. Long lineup of cars waiting to get onto that on-ramp here. Giddy up, little camper. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed when we were up at that very tight off-ramp, waiting at the end of it there to turn onto that road that feeds into this. There were 2 school buses that came in hot and actually had to bang their brakes on. Human drivers not paying attention to the heavy traffic in front of them. It came in too hot. Oh, my least favorite type of vehicle to be behind. Big old dump truck spitting rocks. Let's see if, please get over. Please get over. Please, thank you. Even in standard mode. It's a good thinking by FSD. Do not hang behind the truck, but also don't lean right against the lane. Jeez, come on, big boy. Stay over. We're getting just peppered with little small rocks behind that dump truck. Nothing was going to crack the windshield yet, but definitely little, you could hear just little ticks on the car. Not my idea of a good time. Look at I love the drives here, man. Got so many young fir trees coming up. This is going to be such a it already is getting nice, but it's going to be such a beautiful forested roadway. Both evergreens and deciduous trees out here. And then we've got one nice pedestrian overpass there. Here's another new pedestrian overpass here. When they made this divided highway, it cut off this neighborhood, and they're mending the neighborhood back together again so people can easily get to each other by putting that pedestrian and bicycle overpass in back there, which is awesome. This is Highway 500 is a short stretch of 4 or 5 miles of highway that's similar to an interstate, not quite as fast, but has on and off ramps and overpasses and underpasses. So there's just no stopping. It's steady flow traffic, going 50 to 60 usually. Occasionally, if in light traffic, you can get up to 70 on this thing. But a lot of people commuting on this thing. There's a big lineup and heavy traffic ahead of me. It's only 4:15 and the lanes are pretty much full up ahead. And so the real question will be, how soon does this thing move over into that lane? Because we're going to get to this 205 junction here where there's a lot of traffic in that lane, both getting off and coming on. But then right after that, we have to be over there because you can see the backup at that corner. And that turn lane begins way back here. Way back here. So, and we'll likely be backed up quite a ways tonight. Are we going to get over? Or are we just going to hang out in this lane, oblivious to the needs to get over into that 3/4 mile long right turn lane? When I'm in chill mode, it usually makes it there. It's only failed me once. It's had some difficulty at times because it does the dumb thing where it doesn't ease off to get over. It instead tries to outcompete somebody for the merge in. And that is usually a losing deal. And it's not like I wouldn't mind it staying in this lane till right here, when all these people exit off over here to the interstate. It's time for us to get over. Like now. Now. But we're not. We're just riding this lane. And I'm just going to let it play out. It can't go that fast because of the traffic ahead. It's also not making no attempt to get over for that turn lane. Oh, here it goes. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Come on, get over. Get over. God. Yeah. Whew. Lucked out tonight. It made it. This traffic, as you can see, starts really slowing down. We're a little early for the worst of it, right? Because it's only 4:18. But you can already see how challenging this can be. It's a 3/4 mile long right turn lane with a merge lane coming in with people who are not all turning. Some of them are fighting to get across into the straight through lanes. That means if you're late coming into here, you're fighting traffic that's coming out of this lane, and the fact that this traffic is absolutely stacked up in this lane. And you can see here, we are absolutely bumper to bumper, with the Tesla being the only FSD, the only one leaving a reasonable gap here. Everybody else is hugging. And hugging tight. Now, behind me now, they are stopped back for another 30, 40 cars, and I just saw 2 cars pop out to get into the through lane from this lane. And that's because people are like, ugh. But this lane, I mean, you know, I'm never in it more than a minute or two. It moves along. Like, you'll get a stop like that, but then you'll get a long sequence of go. It's just those short sequences of stop that kind of stuff this lane up. Because it's a right-hand turn, you know, and you get because it's a dedicated right turn lane, you get a free right even on red, let alone green. And so as long as the lanes aren't over full, it can get around the corner and get going. And what you've got is 4 lanes right here on the other side. Now they back up a long way, so it needs to get in quickly. You can see here, we're almost backed up. There's a dedicated left turn lane, a dedicated right turn lane, and 2 through lanes right here. Most people are going through because even though the highway headed north as a city street at this point with signals, the bulk of the people don't use that highway going north. They take that heavy right turn like I did here, because that same highway drops down to this road again in 2.5 miles, maybe 3 miles here. It drops right back down to here again, and the amount of time you spend going up to the faster Padden Parkway that's a mile north, and then dropping a mile down on a city road again to rejoin this is not worth it. Even with the heavy traffic, we don't move that slowly. So most people just use this as if it's the highway. So it's quite heavy with traffic. Commuting, it's just more efficient than going up to Padden Parkway a mile north and then dropping right back down. because as soon as we get to the intersection where this road drops to 2 lanes, the Highway 500, which is what we were on, rejoins. So Highway 500 goes from being a major highway with, divided median, on and off ramps, no signals, overpasses, underpasses. Whoa, ho, ho, that's highly illegal in Washington State. Wow, I'm glad the car didn't panic. I know that's legal in some states, but lane splitting is not legal here. And not only lane splitting, but flying along at that kind of speed. That was, asking to get himself wiped out at some point here. Nobody's gonna know he's coming, and I wouldn't blame them for not knowing he's coming. He's coming too fast for people to even have a clue that he's there. So somebody's gonna change lanes right into him at some point. We are not gonna make this signal. All right. So far, nice drive. I just love it when FSD is really doing a great job. And tonight so far, the drive has been seamless. Oh, its one little bobble was that spot where it was going weirdly slow. Where was that? Oh, when we turned to go on to I-5, right there, where like it had its own lane, but it was like going 6 miles per hour, and then finally figured out, that it needed to get going. That was a little odd. It's never done that to me before. It's always, in many trips, just zipped around that corner, used its lane, and merged over as the lanes consolidate on that on-ramp. I don't know what it saw tonight, and that's some of the mysteries of FSD, Sometimes the probabilities and the preferences in terms of how it's weighted are probably one little thing triggers it to do something differently. It's not that it's learning per se, it's that it's weighing some mathematical, probabilities, and something tips the scales one way or the other on a certain night. And so that's why behavior, while generally very predictable, will have occasional random occurrence. Here we go. Passing through a big shopping district here. We got Walmart over there. We got about 10 or 12 restaurants right here. It's a place where we'll come to grab food from our house pretty often. If we're getting some takeout, or there's a few sit downs along here too. And then this whole area is just a lot of business on one side, some residential and apartments on the other that have really filled this area in. And we do have the road infrastructure, at least up for the next mile, to support the density we have here with, about 200,000 people in this North Vancouver area. So it is just packed with people. You see all the city buses and stuff cruising through. There's just a lot of population out here, and there's a lot of stores, a lot of businesses to support that population. Health food practices, or health and medical practices. So, and coming up on McDonald's and a couple Mexican restaurants and really good burger joint coming up here on the corner, and a big Safeway store and gas station. And so when I was driving a gas car, that would be a place I filled up a lot, because we get points there from my wife's work. And so that was kind of our preferred gas station, but I don't see that place anymore. All right, so here comes our merger, where this thing can also oopsie on the regular. it's unaware that this right lane is ending, and so sometimes it will put its blinker on to get over there, even though we just went past a merge sign and there's arrows showing it merging. Every so often it'll put its blinker on and try and move over there when the lane's ending, clearly not understanding that the lanes are merging until it gets to the merge point. And then it has also not let people in who are trying to merge in from that lane, even when they've been a little ahead of us. It will do the race ahead, not let them in thing, being extremely rude and difficult to people, not intentionally, but literally because it's not aware that they need to get over. And so something to improve on in future releases is merge awareness and lanes ending and which lane is ending and how to handle merging in those situations. And then that high capacity right-hand turn lane, plotting out those sort of high capacity features and really knowing where they're at and to use them effectively. Like I say, we sort of lucked out tonight. It was delaying quite long getting into that lane, and we were maybe a couple of minutes before that would have cost us the turn, because the traffic behind me backed it up a lot further than where I was. So literally I was on the edge of where that becomes backed up most of the way. And we were just on we beat it by a minute or two. So it's just the volume of commuters slowly lengthens that out, as that back up out in that lane as the commute goes on. So further after 4 we get the higher volume that goes until 6 p.m. or so. Now we got some beautiful homes along this area. We went through that roundabout back there with no problem. I love how FSD is much more polite than humans are in putting its blinker on to let people know that it's gonna take a particular exit from the roundabout, and that helps other people know that they can go, which helps everybody get through the roundabout faster. So if you're human driving, learn to use your signal and roundabouts to indicate where you're exiting. It's super helpful to keeping the flow of traffic moving. And then here we have a nice tight corner, and it does a great job at it. And notice this is a fairly rural area we're going through right here. We're out of Vancouver and not quite into Camas yet. We're a little north of Camas. Vancouver is quite large with several 100,000 people. And then Camas is quite a bit smaller with only about 40,000 people. So Camas doesn't extend as far north as Vancouver does. Nice tight turn here. Did a great job of signaling intent and getting around the corner. And there's an interesting, once again, a wipers triggering for no apparent reason. It doesn't happen often, actually. This is one of the few times I've had it happen tonight. I wonder if just the amount of reflection on the window or something is causing it to think there's something there. Oh, now we're going over the west hip of Green Mountain. We've climbed just a little. We're going to drop back down as we go onto the south side of the mountain. To our left is the top of the mountain, and it's not a huge mountain. It's a 500,000-year-old, so geologically fairly young cinder volcano that just goes up to 800 feet and just pops straight up at a steep angle to our left here. And we've got a beautiful trail system that goes up to the top of that from our neighborhood, and me and a group of guys formed something called the Green Mountain Trails Coalition that built those trails, and are now working on our nonprofit status to get it to where we want it to be, so we can enter into formal agreements with the county and the city to continue improving the trail system into a formalized city park and county park. We are approaching, we're in the city limits of Camas, have been for about a half mile since we kind of dropped down off the side of the mountain there. But we're actually getting into where the neighborhoods start, like right to our left now. Hundreds of homes off to our left. You can see apartments going in and townhomes here. And then where you see the fir trees up here will actually be soon a mixed residential commercial district with things like a mini mart, gas station, electric car charging station, you know, other amenities and trails that wander through from the neighborhood, because there's also a wetland right down here and ponds. To our right is Department of Natural Resources wetlands that go over to Lacamas Creek, the big creek we crossed a ways back, and down to Lacamas Lake, which is just ahead of us and to our right, which is why the road doesn't go through and we take a left here. So if it went through, we would be in the lake in about a quarter mile. This signal is about a year old as these neighborhoods got built. Off to the left here, the traffic out here increased a lot, obviously, and while they haven't improved these roads very much, they have at least put a few signals in and put some suicide lanes in where the neighborhoods are, with a sidewalk on the side that the neighborhood is on. So little by little, we're getting a little infrastructure in place out here. This is in the very north parts of the city of Camas here. This road has a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit, but a lot of people go 50. So it's not that uncommon for me to be slowing people down on here, but I actually don't care, because with the neighborhoods all being built here, people need to get in the habit of going slower through here. We have a brand new neighborhood to the right there. And that is got about 35 homes. And then our neighborhood has about 350 homes right here. And we're going to get in the suicide lane a little later than I would like, and that tends to be a habit of, it thought it was going to go, and then it thought differently. Nice decision there, FSD. All right, into the neighborhood we go. Our neighborhood goes up onto part of the mountain there. The tallest part's off to the west over there, but the long east ridge runs out here. And we have trails all along there, 12 miles of trails. Our clubhouse and pool are over here. Now we're going through our wetlands and green belts that are under development and slowly growing a lot of new trees in them, and run with a creek that runs through the middle and several wetlands areas. And now let's see if we pull up to our house properly. It usually won't try and park. It will just stop at the house. I'm going to open the garage. But usually it's just going to pull straight ahead here and stop and say, I'm done. There we go. FSD complete. From work to here with nary an intervention or disengagement. Very nicely done. All right, let's see if we can get her parked. Simple as moving into drive here. Then the auto. Perfect. We're gonna back on into the garage. Be great when FSD can do this for me. Can't yet, but it will eventually. can pull right out of the garage without any grief. Gonna tighten it up much more than FSD would like to do, or even Auto Park. We gotta get some stuff put away that's off to the right here. Yeah, we're in a good spot here. All right. Just ease over slightly there. Perfect. Hope you all have a lovely day. We're gonna go in, get some dinner, and post this video up. So enjoy.